Welcome to the next episode of iNVISAGE TV, where we discuss preparing your home the right way. Some of the things we're going to cover are small things that make a big difference, display home presentation, outdoor tips and tricks, and setting up a room for professional photography.
It takes experience to know what those small things that make a big difference are. It can be things as small as towels on towel rails, the dish rack drying area in the kitchen, mats on the kitchen floor, shoes near doors, ceiling fans that are still running, a light bulb that's not working is a common one that we see. Other things could be the shampoo bottles in showers, the scrubbing brushes in showers. There are numerous things that we would help you with in terms of what you need to do before we get to the property ideally.
To maximise the photography, having a home a lot like a display home definitely gives an advantage online. For example, having a few things taken away from the bathroom, like for example your toothbrushes and shavers, and replacing them with a candle and some small flowers in the corner. Looking at colour coordinating. And when we talk about colour coordinating, we don't mean like putting blue towels in a blue bathroom, for example. It's nice for a photographer to have contrast in the room. So white towels in a blue bathroom would look good, or dark brown towels in a light brown bathroom would also look nice. Having some things decluttered and personal items decluttered out of the home also helps in having a display home-like feel. And also looking at little things like fresh flowers, candles, having minimalistic items on the kitchen bench and things like that.
And as Paul mentioned, a lot of these things too are quite small things that don't cost a fortune to do. They're things that you can very easily do. You don't necessarily have to get someone in to totally stage the property. Fantastic if you have the budget for that, but if you don't, it's just these little things that can make such a huge difference.
We touched on some of the indoor components, some outdoor tips and tricks, for example making sure the grass is cut only a few days before, not freshly cut the day of the photography, but give it a couple of days to actually come back and look fresh again. Doing gardens, taking away weeds, and possibly even look at some temporary garden lighting. Not necessarily solar lights because they come on very late in the evening, but having some alternate lighting that you could set up in gardens with pools, making sure the pool light is working, and also looking at all the external lights of the home. Some things that you might not consider are simple things like cobwebs or dirty footpaths, putting down some fresh bark and brushing leaves off stones and rocks to give it a nice fresh feel.
Also just trim the hedges, if you have hedges, make sure gardens are neat and tidy, and put away any objects that don't need to be out there, such as hoses or children's toys or any furniture that's out of place.
Setting up a room for photography is very important. Just remembering the photographer that you hire has come into your home for the first time and has a very objective view of the property. In that instance, the photographer can then have an idea of what would appeal to the common buyer. Having a room set up for your own personal needs might not necessarily mean that it would attract the right buyer. Things
to consider are things like are couches and coffee tables all too close together and pushed into the centre of the room. One thing that can help emphasise the size of a room is to move things back a little, so you haven't got the room looking so small because the couches are so tight in the room. That also helps the photographer when he's there because it gives him a few more choices in terms of composition of the photo. Another thing that we commonly see is dining tables will often be pushed right up against one wall or very close to one wall. Again, that's something that can make the room look quite small because people see how close the edge of the dining table is to the wall and immediately think, well, it doesn't really fit, that's why it's pushed in so close, and therefore they have a perception that that room is small, even if that's not the case.
And just remember, we're trying to advertise the property for the majority. So sometimes you might have a personal attachment to some items that might not necessarily look nice in the photo. So in those cases, the photographer will use his best judgment to actually try and set up that room by placing something new into that space or taking something out of that space.
Most of these things that we've discussed are things that you can do before the photographer arrives. When the photographer does arrive at your home, he or she will then give you further advice or make some alterations themselves as well to help present the property in the best light. We also do have in our pre-listing kit, we have a preparing your home flyer, and on the back of that is a checklist that you can run through, and that will also help you in preparing the home in the best possible light. But again, when the photographer gets there, they will give you advice and also move some things possibly themselves as well.
Thank you for watching this episode of iNVISAGE TV. In the next episode, we're going to look at how virtual magic can save you dollars in your marketing, which is preparing your home a step further with digital editing, and some of the things that digital post-production can do to help you remove items from a home that you wouldn't normally be able to remove at the day of the shoot. So thank you again for taking the time watching this episode of iNVISAGE TV. Keep selling.
See you next time.